with the opening comments, please join me in welcoming Mayor Randall Woodfin.
Good morning. Good morning. Good evening. I promise y'all it's been a long day. I know it's not morning. Good evening to everyone here in District 7. What an honor it is to be here with you all. First thing I need to do here at Greater Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church is to acknowledge an amazing man and an amazing leader and pastor of this church. That's Reverend Wesley. Come on. See, I know the Wesleys, even generationally, good stock, because we got a Wesley we stole from you, Cornell Wesley. And so, Pastor, 1, thanks for hosting us. 2, thanks for what you do in the community. For those who don't know, so many amazing ministries exist in this facility that we're seated in. And one of them is what they do for our youngest generation as it relates to an early learning center. Thank you for your vision. Thank you. In a minute, I'm going to bring my colleague, partner in tonight's program up. I say program, it's really not a program, everybody. There is no script here for real, except with some information we're going to share about what we've done. The remaining time will be designed literally for us to listen to the question you write on that card, and we'll just have dialogue back and forth for Q&A. But before I do that, well, just come on up, and then I'm going to pass this mic to you. Just literally just come stand next to me. First Lady, I did not acknowledge you. Good to see you as well. I want to acknowledge the representative for the school board of District 7, and that is Big Walt Wilson. I also want to acknowledge any neighborhood officers that are present. If you could, either stand or wave or put your hand in the air so we can know who's present. The other thing is I want to thank some of our team members for being here. You should know that I'm very honest. Pastor, I do not have the answer to every question. However, there are professionals and team members here who've been with the city for quite some time and who are leaders in their departments that can assist or go deeper on an answer if I'm not able to provide one. And then, of course, Pastor, the only person that is, I'm not going to say as important to you as you are, but the person that's my boss, my friend, Wardine Alexander, everybody who represents you.
Thank you, Mayor Woodfin. We are excited to have you here with us in D7 this evening. So let's give a good round of applause for Mayor Woodfin. Just excited to have you here, Mayor. As you all know, Mayor Woodfin and I met when we first started serving on the school board, continued this relationship during my tenure on the city council. So it's just a pleasure to work with you. And we are the first to say we have learned best how to agree to disagree. And so I'm just appreciative of that type of spirit. You stole my thunder. I was going to go ahead and introduce all of the people that you've already introduced. So I'm very happy to thank Walt, our school board rep, for coming in. Always excited to see our neighborhood presidents, and just most excited to see each of you. 2023 was a journey for us. We've had some accomplishments. We've had some successes. We've also had some challenges. So I'm excited for you, Mayor Woodfin, to present citywide initiatives as well as those initiatives that we've had in D7. So I'm going to turn it over to you so we can go ahead and get started. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Let me see your card. So everybody, if you have not received this is literally designed to, the purpose of this, process-wise, is because we want to make sure we get to everybody's question. And so if you have a question and have not received this, or if you have so many questions and you run out of room, let us know so we can get you one of these, because our presentation is not necessarily the longest. It's actually the shortest part of the tonight town hall. The majority of the time is spent engaging your questions. So with that, you have 2 screens behind me. And so we're just going to get into sharing some information about a little bit about what we've done and then what we're doing in 2024. And then we'll turn the mic over back to Rick to facilitate Q&A. I want to start with something that's pretty important to everybody in this room. I'm going to imagine I saw a young lady being interviewed by the press. I wouldn't be surprised if street paving came up, or dodging potholes, or something of that nature related to our city's infrastructure. So one of the things I want to start with is just by telling you what we did in 2023 related to street paving. The first thing is the city council approved a significant amount of money that included $12.5 million to pave streets citywide. Within that, 246 segments for the total city, which included 43 miles across the entire city. But I know the residents in District 7 care about what does that mean for my district, what did you do for District 7? And so 24 street segments were included in District 7. Now, nobody necessarily walks around saying segments, so in a minute I'm going to talk to you about the streets in District 7 and actually call them out by name because you deserve to know what we've done or what we're doing in these streets. But in 2024, the money is increased to $12.9 million in paving. And so when the weather breaks, you'll see us start paving more. We don't usually pave in January and February. This is something I had to learn myself, and it's simply because of weather. The weather has to be a certain temperature, certain degree before you can actually pave. So you'll start seeing more paving as the weather breaks, March, spring, etc. But you'll see 182 segments for a total of 36 miles across the entire city. And within District 7, I want to tell you what the streets that will be paved in 2024. If you could go to the next slide. So that can't see. Maybe you can. Let me just call some of them out for you. Street resurfacing in 2024 for District 7 include the following. We'll be paving Spalding Street from 39th Street Southwest from Winona Road to Alvin Avenue Southwest. We'll be paving 44th Street Whitmore Drive from New Hill Place to Winona Scooter Road. We'll also be paving New Hill Place from West End to Whitmore Drive, which is 44th Street Southwest. New Hill Avenue from New Hill Place to Winona East Scooter Road, and New Hill Circle from New Hill Circle Court to New Hill Court as well, and then 45th Street, some of you all may know it as Calvin Avenue, from Garden Street to Airview Street. New Hill Lane and New Hill Way from Burwell Street to end of C&G on New Hill Lane. We'll also be paving the following: 55th Street Southwest from Gordon Ave to Jefferson Ave, Park Ave from 40th Street to 42nd Street, and 49th Street Southwest from Park Ave to Hillman Drive. Now, do any of you all recognize any of these streets I named? I'm going to keep going. You got Winona Court from 41st Street Southwest to Winona Road, everybody. Spring Gap Street, which is Bell Street, 37th Street from Felix Ave to Todd Avenue. Pearson Avenue Southwest from 18th to 24th. That's pretty big and important. Wardine. 32nd Street Southwest from Claiborne Avenue Southwest to Alameda. 30th Place Southwest from 30th Street to Garrison Ave. 25th Ave Southwest from Slayton Ave to Lee Avenue. Beulah Avenue from 24th Street to Wesley Avenue, and Wesley Ave from 23rd Street to East End and 18th Place Southwest. From Princeton Avenue to St. Charles Avenue. Does anybody know those streets? So I'm hoping this provides you some relief. Because I know y'all tired of doing like tricks and donuts in the street to dodge potholes. What we've attempted to do, though, over the last 6 years is make sure we can put a sizable dent in street resurfacing every year because we were so many years behind. So over the last 6 years, it's been close to $60 million worth of street paving. And what you'll continue to see us do, the mayor's office will make pretty much high-end recommendation numbers to the city council to support more street paving. So now I want to go to capital projects, and I want to put this in two categories. You got active projects, and then you got completed projects. Working backwards, the completed project you see for all of District 7 is the Oxmoor Valley Community Center And what they did over there, because so many events or community events continue requests from community members to participate in events at this city facility, more parking was needed. And so that project has since been completed. But you see the active projects, which include Germania Park improvements, and Madam President, I see you back there, as well as Oxmoor Park upgrades and Wiggins Park upgrades. Now, during our Q&A, if more detail is needed, please let us know in question form, and I'll bring a team member up that can explain more about those capital projects and where they are in the process as it relates to being active. I next want to talk about and just give you a brief update on public works. It is a combination of things that include what we're doing around potholes, what we're doing around household garbage, and a few other things. Starting with potholes, I want to tell you that we receive about 170 311 requests. So I want to repeat that. We received about 170 311 requests to repave potholes just in District 7. But also last year in District 7, we repaired over 1,000 or repatched or patched over 1,000 potholes just in District 7. Now, I do want to talk about household garbage, and I want to acknowledge in District 7, there are some terrain challenges. And so, we went to a new uniform trash system, but maybe many of you all don't know why. As a city, what we've done over the last, I'm not sure how many decades, but numerous decades, is allow for household trash to be picked up not once but twice a week. And with them being picked up not once but twice a week, anything you put out, we pick up. Is that fair to say? Well, that certain things happen when you do that. One, nasty people that do illegal things like dumping and littering can easily blend in. Because out of 7 days of the week, 6 of those days, trash is literally on our streets in any form. In addition to that, we have men and women who work on these trucks, jump off, pick up stuff, end up hurting their back, or picking up something that hurt their hand, and then they may have to be out of service because of health issues, and then we get delayed in picking up that trash. There are other things that happen too, but those two things were drivers for why we needed to be more efficient in how we pick up and provide trash service in our city. So we decided to go to a uniform trash bin, a 90-gallon cart, 1 day a week. Now, this was a process we phased out, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4. So it was 4 different waves of this. So some of your neighbors may have gotten a can before you, and you were like, hey, what about me? I'm on the next street or the next block. But everybody in this room should have a uniform trash bin as of today. That's 1. 2, some of you all may say, hey, I got a lot of people in my household, I need another trash bin. Because you should know, if the lid is not closed, if you put stuff on top of the lid, or if you put stuff on the ground next to it or behind it or in front of it, we can't pick it up. Well, I promise you it's not because we don't want to. It's because we literally can't. Because I just told you about the employees who were being hurt on the job, or we're not only just changing the trash bin, we're also changing the way we pick it up via the trucks and an actual lift that protects employees and keeps them safe, physically safe and health-wise. However, what that also means is your bin has to be fully closed for us to pick it up. And if you leave stuff around it, we're not in a position to pick it up. So for those who need a second trash bin, that opportunity is afforded to you. However, it's different from your first bin, which you didn't have to pay anything. You do have to purchase a second bin, but that is an option for you if you need an additional bin because you have that much service you need to be picked up. The second point I want to make about this, because it's very important, I mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to go deeper, Madam Pro Tem. That is, we acknowledge some of our seniors may have health challenges. We also acknowledge some of our residents or some of your neighbors may have terrain challenges. There are exceptions we offer in one or both of those cases, but that is a process as well, because we can't afford that process for everyone, and so it is vetted. However, we want to make sure we take care of all of our citizens in the city related to that. So in that regard, if you need an additional cart, you can just simply go to birminghamal.gov/pickup to start the process to purchase and or order a second bin. There's a physical location you can go to as well if you do not want to go online. You can go to 501 6th Avenue South. That is the Department of Public Works Administrative Building, and you can go in person and start that process to purchase a second bin. Also, if you need any information about the date of your pickup, that information can be found at birminghamal.gov as well /pickup. Again, that's birminghamal.gov/pickup. And I do want to acknowledge the president of Birmingham City Council who just walked in, Dr. Darrell O'Quinn. Everybody, I only have literally 2 or 3 max more topics before we open the floor up. I want to talk about public safety. And I want to talk about this in a way that I know people in this room, whether you are a neighborhood leader, neighborhood president, vice president, secretary, whether you are an elected official in this room, a pastor who is responsible for a congregation, or just an everyday citizen who cares about where they live on their block, their street, their neighborhood. Public safety is of the utmost importance to the city of Birmingham. I have a chief of police here. I have the captain of West Precinct here. I even have the fire chief here, whose birthday is this Saturday. He wasn't going to tell y'all. The men and women who serve under them are committed every single day to helping, protecting, and keeping residents, neighbors, and community safe. And I got to let y'all in on a little secret. They cannot do it alone. It just turns out that's not how it works. So, who's all heard of Neighborhood Watch before? Show of hands. All right. Another show of hands. Who's ever participated in Neighborhood Watch? Show of hands. See how those hands decrease? It doesn't work without you. Now, if you're in this room there are several facts. 1, you genuinely care about your neighborhood. 2, you want to see it be better. I have a way for you to do it. We have a program called Connect Birmingham. And I want to explain it to you this way. A few years back, there was a shooting on the east side of town. Some cowards pulled up in front of a home. They shot into a home, and they killed an innocent child. Extremely unfortunate, unacceptable, it should have never happened. We had no actual witnesses. But it turns out some cameras were able to catch the license plate. And then that then led us to put that in our real-time crime center and trace and track that car. And it turns out those same cowards were crazy enough to continue to ride around that car the rest of the day. And we caught those shooters. You may have heard me mention it earlier this past Tuesday at a city council meeting that unfortunately there's an uphill culture we're fighting when it comes to gun violence in this community, and people provide safe harbor to shooters. And I know District 7. I know you hear gunshots in your neighborhoods. I know you call the police. And I know you may not like the response time sometime. I know you may say by the time the police get here, nothing happened. And I know you may want to be discreet and have discretion and not necessarily give your name. And all of that is fine. Well, the last part of what I said is fine. But it's our desire for you to not even have to call the police. And it's definitely our desire to decrease active shooting in our communities. There is a way to do it. The program, again, is called Connect Birmingham. And what that allows, very simply, show of hands, who has some form of a camera system at their home? Look, Chief, you see all those hands? Okay. Very briefly. Keep them up for me if you have a camera. This is important to look at because this is powerful to me. Wardine, I should have been did this. You can put them down. I wanted to look at that again because you have the opportunity to be a part of what I define as a new form of neighborhood watch. Connect Birmingham allows you for your external cameras, with your permission, if and when a crime occurs, that you assist in the investigation of that crime and accelerate the process to actually take a criminal off the street. It allows us to get access to your external cameras, so nothing going on in your home. And truthfully, nothing going on outside of your home, but for if a crime occurs. So consider in your vicinity, your street, your block, this whole notion of hear something, see something, your cameras all of a sudden are empowered to assist in investigating crime. So it is very simple. You see, each of you, or majority of you, have cell phones. You can pull out your cell phone and scan that QR code right now. I don't see anybody doing it either.
Also, these are the forms, and they're out on the table. So hard copy forms are out on the table.
It's perfect. So you can scan this. We have a second option for you too that I want you to take advantage of. This form is out front. It's called Birmingham Police Department Surveillance Camera Program. It talks about the do's and don'ts of what it does, your privacy, protecting your rights. So this is not Big Brother. This is let's catch criminals and take them off the street. Does anybody want to assist us in that? Show of hands? High hands? It would be helpful. You all may be thinking, why start there? Why not talk about what the police are doing? Well, I can talk about that, and we'll talk about that in Q&A, because I know somebody has a question about crime and gun violence and what the police are doing or not doing. So we'll get there. But I wanted to mention that in my prepared remarks because what we are finding, and Chief can back this up, Cap, the West Precinct can too, technology allows us to expedite the opportunity and process of investigating crimes against persons and crimes against property in our city. We had a guy that was hitting fire stations recently. Technology allowed us to catch that person. Bless you. They approved of my message. So please be a part of that program, everybody. I know I went a little longer on that, but I thought it was very important to break that down. For the remaining topics of public safety, we'll reserve that for your questions and answers. Code enforcement, which is something all residents in District 7 care about. So some of y'all got neighbors who got junk, inoperable vehicles, not, cutting their grass. You got absentee neighbors that don't cut their grass. You got absentee neighbors who let a house roof cave in and look crazy. You call us and you demand the city to do something about it, and it turns out state law creates a process and gives the same rights to the nasty neighbor, the slum neighbor, the absentee neighbor as much as you. So we can't just go on that property and cut the grass. We can't just go on that property and tear the house down. There's a process. However, we want to share some of the process with you and what we've been able to do just in 2023. So we've identified in District 7, 29 structures are on the list for condemnation, which is a fancy word of just saying we're going to tear it down for you. But the number of housing inspections have been crazy. Just in District 7, 522 houses have been inspected for some form of code violation in the last 12 months in District 7. So you may not see it. You may not see the city employee or the city vehicle that pulls up and investigates the 311 call, but it's happening, and it happened over 500 times alone just in District 7. Now, here's where we get about talking about our city's population and what's happened because of the decrease in our city's population. In the 1970s, the height of City of Birmingham's population was about 340,000 people. Today, it's roughly around 200,000 people. When you have that form of decrease in population, which is, my math is right, about 140,000 people no longer live in our city, you have surplus housing stock. But you also have either absentee or slum landowners who are not doing their part to take care of their property. Or I'll give you another example, which I know happens a lot in District 7. Big mama, grandmama, mama, unfortunately passed away. Passes to the siblings, but they fight over it. And so now the house is in custody. The house is in some form of a court process. And while that's happening over years, the house continues to deteriorate. All of those things combined, unfortunately, leads to a process where we end up removing the blighted property. However, in place of the blighted property, you got empty lots, where a significant amount of them the city of Birmingham still does not own. It is still owned by the private person. So again, when the grass grows, legally we just can't go on with your tax dollars and cut that grass, by the way. Every time we cut grass, you know we're using your money, right? On somebody's private property. But with contractors, we cut almost 600 of them. And then occupied code violations, which is the neighbor that got the junk in the front yard, the debris, or the inoperable vehicle. We've assessed almost 400 of them, 383 to be exact. I say all of that to say the following. I pull up to an interstate exit, we see litter, we pick it up, and then 2 days later, the litter's back on the ground. You say the city's nasty, why isn't the city government doing anything about it? You don't see us pick it up. Turns out, with a lot of your neighbors, we cite them. They make their way before a judge. They clean it up. You work at the courts. Months later, or you used to work at the courts. Months later, guess what? It's back. Another inoperable vehicle. Bootleg or shade tree mechanic doing something they know they're not supposed to be doing, right? We all see it. Keep calling us so we can keep assessing them, okay? I got one last thing, and then we're going to turn it back over to Rick Journey for questions. You have, unfortunately, people in neighborhoods that are selling drugs or doing stuff like a shot house after 10 o'clock or other illegal stuff they're not supposed to be doing on a residential street. So we have, and I give kudos to Ms. King, who leads the legal department, the Office of the City Attorney. Let me get it right. Drug Nuisance Abatement Team, DNAT for short is what it stands for. This team, led by lawyers, and they get the assistance of BPD, through a civil process, go after homeowners who we know are allowing drugs to be sold in that house or in that apartment complex, and other forms of nuisances you can think of, whether it's music, whether it's doing something with animals they're not supposed to be doing. I can go on and on of examples. But if you are aware of a home, if you are aware of an apartment complex or any form of multifamily that is doing illegal activity, Is that number on here? It's 205-254 what? There's a number I wanted to give everybody if you are aware of any form of a drug house or any house that has some form of an illegal nuisance. 205-254-2369. Call this number. This number is not the police, by the way. So you are protected and safe. By calling that number, you start a process for the DNAT team to start an investigation to see if this house or apartment complex or whatever it is doing anything of illegal activities. Ms. King can explain in detail if a question comes up about how does it work and give you more information. But you see here what they've been able to do in a very short time, which is 170 properties have received some type of demand or corrective action. And they've been able to collect $50,000 in civil court where these people have to pay fines for their behavior and or do other things such as provide cameras if it's multifamily, or a host of things that a judge orders the owner to do instead of everybody thinking the city should be doing everything. At some point, there's some co-responsibility in the city of Birmingham that you can't make or expect the city to do everything. Residents have to be held accountable as well and do their part. That is what I want to leave you with. We're going to reserve the rest of the time, which we have a significant amount of time left, to do questions and answers. And Shonda, am I passing this to Rick? Oh. So yeah, this last slide just says stay connected. We readily send out information. Does anybody receive direct mail? Show of hands. All right. We also have our social channels that we try to get information up every day. Of course, we have the City of Birmingham's website, birminghamal.gov. And we have other ways for you to stay informed about what we're doing. Not to mention, Madam Pro Tem, Councilor Alexander has a whole team that's dedicated only to citizens and residents of District 7 to call her office, 205-254. 2498. 205-254-2498. That number is reserved directly for residents of District 7. So please don't hesitate to call that number. With that, we're opening it up for Q&A.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Once again, just a reminder for folks, we passed out these cue cards. If you have one and you haven't given it back, please just hold it up and we'll take it from you. If you need one, we got a bunch of them. If you need one, hold your hand up and we'll bring one to you as well. So we'll get this over, but we got a handful of them to start with. Mayor, you touched a little bit on this, but just about every one of these cards has a reference to the timeline and the process for condemnation and demolishing houses that are in poor shape, abandoned, or burned out.
Okay. So I told you I didn't know everything, but I got a team member here, Katrina Thomas, who leads PEP, and you can stand there if everybody can see you. She's going to explain the process. So her team leads this process. Everybody, Ms. Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. Again, Katrina Thomas, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Director of the Department of Planning, Engineering, and Permits. So the question of how long it takes to get a house or structure demolished and going through the condemnation process, well, I will say a few years ago, it used to take us a lot of years, like 4 or 5 years. And we are very proud that we have created a demolition action plan where we are strategically looking at how to conduct those demolition cases. And we have gotten that timeline down to less than a year in some cases. But that process entails, it's a very detailed process that we first have to identify who the property owner is. And we do that by way of a title search, just to make sure we have the right owner. Sometimes there are multiple owners. And then we go through the city council's process. So if you look at the city council agenda, you may see items on the agenda to declare properties a public nuisance. Once we declared a nuisance, then we go through a process by which we we get a contractor to demolish the house, and then we place a lien on the property to try to recoup the cost of that demolition. And so, as we stated, as the mayor stated in the report, we have been successful with tearing a lot of houses down. Once you tear that house down, it's left with a vacant lot, so we want to be careful about how we use that strategy, but that strategy is available so that those are the worst case scenarios where these properties are burned or severely dilapidated to the point where we require that level of leaning in to make sure that that blight is removed by way of demolition.
Thank you. Did she answer your question? Hope so. So who has a card that we need to pick up, or who needs one to write question now?
Yeah, we got another card in the back. I see a couple of them over there.
All right.
And we got another handful.
Rick, while you're doing that, everybody, we've had a pretty cool guest crash the party. Not sure how long we have her, but while she's here, I wanted to give her a very brief moment to speak to residents of District 7. Commissioner Sheila Tyson, everybody.
Good evening. Good evening. I wish I could stay. I'm on my way to my husband's birthday party that the campus are giving him. So I wanted to stop by because I promised them that I would come by. And I want you to know that I'm here for you. I'm working on the county level now, and it's a whole different ball game than the city. And we don't do a whole lot of work in the city because the city has over more than 20,000 people, so they get their own CDBG block grant money and all of that. But when y'all need me, I want you to take my number down. This is my office number. It's 205-325-5074, 205-325-5074, and this is my personal cell phone. I pay this bill, and if I don't want to answer, trust me, I don't answer it. But I am here for you. And if I don't answer it, I'm in a meeting. And if I can help you, I will. And that number is 205-249-8559. 205-249-8559. And it's going to take me 30 seconds. This counselor and this mayor, and I'm addressing them because they are here, and it's the town hall meeting for them. They are working on your behalf. It's not one time that they have ran into something that the county can do that I haven't received a call from these two individuals asking me to assist them through the county to help Birmingham. They have invested in a public safety plan that I think should be a footprint for other cities. It's going to take time to do whatever it takes to improve not only the city of Birmingham, Jefferson County. If Birmingham lose, the county lose, because y'all are giving us 80% of our money that come into Jefferson County. 34 municipalities, Birmingham is the biggest feed, okay? I want you to know these people do care about you, and I know people in the streets. I'm from the protest. I was protesting the council, and it was things that I thought they could do. When I got on there, I found out they couldn't. I protested the county commission. It was things that I thought they could do, and that's why I'm doing it. So you do have two representatives that they're doing the right thing. So I want you to know I love you. And I'm here for you, and I will do anything I can to make Birmingham a success, because if Birmingham lose, Jefferson County lose. Do you understand what I'm saying? I love the state of Alabama, but I am so in love with Birmingham. So y'all take it easy and drive home safe. Thank you so much.
So, y'all have a good night. I'm going with her. Say Wardine.
You got to come back now. We're so excited to have had Commissioner Tyson here, and it's just a joy working with her, and so we really appreciate her dedication. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor. This question coming from Weston: what ideas do you have planned to reduce gun violence?
So our plans to reduce gun violence start with, Pastor, what do you call this? Podium, what do you call this? It's a nice podium right here. I want you to consider it a toolbox. And this toolbox has 3 tools in it. One tool is enforcement. Another tool is reentry. And another tool is prevention. You all know the enforcement tool because that's our police. It's their presence. It's their ability to investigate crime. It's their ability to make arrests. And it's their ability to patrol. And they do a host of other things in community, building trust and relationships. And so that's the enforcement tool. And if you stop there, I just want you to know that's not enough to reduce any form of gun violence in any community, in any urban core in America. And so we spent a lot of time talking about the other 2 tools. If you were listening to the commissioner, she spoke about the plan we have and how it takes time. Well, in this plan, the city council and the mayor's office, we spent up to about $8 million in those other 2 tools: reentry efforts and prevention efforts. So I want to give you a definition and an actual program of a reentry effort, which is actually co-led by County Commissioner Tyson. It's called the Restore Program. And today I had an opportunity to actually talk to the executive who leads the Restore Program. But I'll frame it to you like this. On 2nd Avenue at Family Court, there is a building connected to it that houses juveniles who are in state custody. But they're not charged as adults, they're charged as youth. However, they commit crimes like adults, such as robbery and aggravated assaults and carrying pistols and other forms of violence. Wardine and I and other leaders in the community, we get chances and opportunities to literally go and speak to these young people. And y'all, sometimes when I look into their eyes at a very early age, it frightens me because I don't see anything there. I don't see hope. I don't see the desire or want for their mother or grandmother's favorite meal. I don't see any of that. So the Restore program is literally designed to invest in those youth while they're still in state custody, between the ages of 13 and 17. Because at some point they will get out. You need to know that. And at some point they have to matriculate back into the neighborhoods we live in. And you have to say, do you want them to be a productive citizen and not commit crime again? And or worse, kill or be killed? Or be a menace and be a part of the shootings and the drive-bys and all the other forms of gun violence, which is what this question is centered around? Or can we make the necessary investments not only while they're in, but continue to make those investments when they get out, as well as support their families to provide the wraparound piece so they don't commit crime again? That's what that program is designed to do, re-entry effort. And it turns out some of you all may see that as downstream, but let me tell you why that investment is necessary and why that goes towards decreasing gun violence. Because unfortunately, that pool of young people are 80% more likely to kill or be killed. Those young boys and some of the girls who were locked up at that facility right here in our city limits. So we spend time with them on reentry efforts before they become grown. By the way, the leader at that place that's connected to the family court sent me a text a few days ago. One of the young men I met a year and a half ago is actually receiving his high school diploma while he's still locked up. That's a good thing. Now, he eventually has to still report to, I think it's Mount Meg, which is a state facility where he has to go sit down for some more time. However, when he comes back home, his ability to get a job is probably more likely with the high school diploma versus not having a high school diploma. You would agree or disagree with that? So that type of investment is extremely important. So that's an example, a detailed example on the re-entry end of what we're trying to do to decrease gun violence. I want to give you an example on the prevention side. We have a hospital-based prevention program where if and when a person is shot and makes their way to Princeton down the street or UAB and survives, we have street teams that literally go into the hospital before they're discharged to engage them on the wraparound piece. One, with the main priority of making sure they do not commit retaliation. Part of the increase of gun violence in our communities comes from the back and forth. You shoot at me, you miss. I shoot at you, I miss. And it goes back and forth. We know they know who's doing the shooting, but they won't come tell us. They're heavily involved in street justice. So one of the ways we're trying to penetrate street justice is by sending in people who come from this way of life and who are no longer in it, dispatch them into hospital rooms, engage them. How can we assist in providing, whether it's assisting with a license or a job or assisting with your family or housing, whatever we can do to get you out of that life, and mainly whatever we can do to prevent and or decrease any form of retaliation. The last thing we're trying to do around decreasing gun violence, we need the state's help. It turns out Chief of Police and Captain of West Precinct, you no longer need a license to carry a pistol in the city limits of Birmingham or the state of Alabama. That gives, unfortunately, shooters a lot of cover to just be able to ride around with illegal guns. Now, if I told you since November 2017, we've taken well over 16,000 illegal guns off the street, some of y'all probably wouldn't believe me, but that is a fact. That's a lot of guns. But it turns out in Birmingham, Alabama, like so many other places, in today's time, it's easier for you to buy a gun than it is to buy drugs. And I know that sounds crazy saying that, but I'm giving you a fact. And yes, we are in a church, but you still deserve some rawness and candor and honesty. So we partner with ATF and we partner with other federal agencies to help us bring cases against people who traffic in guns because our young people got too much access to them. And we've been able to take some people off the streets that way as well by federally indicting them. Y'all, that'll never be enough. This is an uphill battle. This is an uphill battle with fighting a culture that promotes guns and gun violence. Upstream, we can teach our youngest generation conflict resolution. So we dump $1 million in that program alone because what we're trying to teach our young people is that conflict has always been with us and pastor conflict will always be with us. Somebody will always make you mad, angry. I'm going to stop there because we're in a church. How you respond. We have a whole generation or a significant amount of our generation that responds to whoever makes them mad by picking up a gun. That's taught behavior. So what we're trying to counter that is by literally teaching conflict resolution in the schools, K through 5th, 6th through 8th, 9th through 12th, how to respond when you get angry. Because by the way, somebody will make you angry. Somebody will make you mad and you will want to respond. But how you respond and what's the option and or alternative to picking up a gun, that's what we're teaching as well. None of those answers may be satisfactory to you. And I can appreciate that because you just want it to stop. But it's going to take more than the police, and it's going to take more than elected officials for gun violence to stop.
Mayor Woodfin, before we go forward, if I could just add, when Mayor Woodfin talked about all of those tools that we're putting in that toolbox to try to deter crime, try to keep it from happening, and then when it does, each of these programs, I just want to tell you from a District 7 standpoint, I talked today with our committee chair for public safety, and Mrs. Tate is just very concerned and very dedicated to putting each of these tools out there to help us rid of crime. And so we talked today about how I can support through our ARPA dollars that have been provided to D7 to put the messengers out in our neighborhoods that can meet these people where they are. I don't know if many of you know, but in 2020, Super Bowl Sunday, my son was robbed at gunpoint, shot and left there. I thank Mayor Woodfin, thank Chief Thurman for the support they gave in just trying to, you can imagine having someone in your family affected like this. Fortunately, Gregory survived, but when we think about the person that robbed him at gunpoint, this was a young individual from his memory. And so these programs like HEAT, Common Ground, all of those programs, and workforce development, giving these young men an opportunity, and these children really, an opportunity to learn and grow. Hopefully this will be a crime deterrent as well.
Absolutely. Just for the residents of District 7, so you know, you don't have elected officials who are ignoring this issue. And you don't have elected officials who are out of touch with this issue, because she, along with a few other of her colleagues, have had family members affected, just like I have, by gun violence. So this is something that we're not only overly sensitive to, but it's something that we put a lot of energy and time in, literally trying to address and focus on to decrease gun violence in our city. Rick?
You got me doing strategy over here. Hillman Estates. Who to call about stray animals? It is very unsafe for our residents to walk out of our homes and deal with stray dogs.
So everybody, I'm going to have Josh Yates, who leads the Department of Public Works, to come up and provide an answer to the direct question, and then you can go out, you can expand and just talk about what we're doing in this issue overall.
Yes, sir, Mayor. Good evening. My name is Josh Yates, and I am honored to serve as the Director of Public Works for the City of Birmingham. And in regard, oh, I'm sorry, there we go. So first question is, who do you call in the event of an animal, stray animal? That would be 311 initially. If you have a stray animal that's just loose in the neighborhood, please call 311. In regard to an aggressive attack or a vicious animal, that would be an emergency situation. I would say please call your police department at 911. Is that fair to say, Chief? And so with animals, I will say this, that that is the number one call we get throughout the city. We get a lot of calls on animals, and our teams throughout the city produce quite a number of animals that they take in. Several thousand animals are brought in each year, as well as several thousand animals picked up each year. And so they do a great job on that, on getting the animals. They set traps in areas where we need to set traps. They work very hard to go out and get those animals that are loose. But 311 is the place to start, and that'll start a case, and they'll address that pretty quickly. Do you want me to?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Yates.
I've got two that are dealing with public safety, so I thought I'd put them together. Jones Valley, this is a question about what more can be done to address celebratory gunfire and random shooting. And then the other one, if I can make it two, because it's public safety. The other one is asking about exhibition driving. What's being done to address those two?
Yeah, so celebratory gunfire, I'll take that first. And I'm very, very honest. This is a hard one. Every year, the chief of police, every year I say something where we try to get adults to be responsible. And we make it very simple, because what goes up has to come down. But you should know that the rate of it, if that's a sneeze, bless you. The rate of it is so high. It turns out there's a certain window of time where police have to provide cover for themselves as well. You may have read about that this year, actually. It may have been the first time I saw that publicly talked about. Bless you. Now listen, you good? I'm just playing. I'm just playing. You good? I'm just playing. But this is a very hard thing to do, to try to prevent, because so many people are doing it. We can't get a police to every house. So we have the technology that triangulates if and when a gun goes off. The problem is so many going off at the exact same time in a window between 11:45 and 12:15. So even when we talk to other mayors, you should know that, because we know we don't have all the answers, so we seek guidance from other mayors. We seek guidance from other police chiefs. We find that this is hard to solve for. Now, long term, I want to tell you one of the things we want to do that we think may be of help. Eventually, we are going to have to increase technology. I'm not comparing us to another city, but there are other cities that have cameras everywhere. Okay? They have them everywhere. There's nowhere you can move where there's not some form of a camera, even if you don't know it's there. Well, what we try to do, and we have a lot of cameras as well, but I want to be honest with you, most of our cameras are in major thoroughfares where there's a flow of traffic and people. When you get off into the neighborhood streets and the blocks, that's where it gets less cameras. However, guess what? The question, you set it up so beautifully. Connect Birmingham could probably bust through some of that. So it turns out, this is your house where I'm standing. Chief Moon's, well, this is where I'm standing. Chief Moon house is across the street. My exterior camera here may be in a position to catch the fool that comes out, shoots, and then goes back inside. Well, something happened. We know it's illegal. The state law already says it's illegal. But if we're in a position with our real-time crime center to have that feed, we may not be able to prevent it, but we may be able to investigate and arrest. Does that make sense? It turns out if you investigate and arrest and people know they're being arrested for that, then you may see a decrease. That's a thought. Exhibition driving. I'll give you the good first. The good is this past legislative session, and y'all, Montgomery's tough. I wish they just wouldn't be in session. Just cancel the whole thing. Seriously. This past legislative session, there was a bill passed that actually created a law isolated to making exhibition driving illegal. This law included the ability to suspend your license. This law included the ability to actually impound your car, as well as increase the fines. So the law actually has teeth. But this is what happens. Somebody spins out. You call the police. When the police get there, they're not spinning out or they're gone. Guess what that means according to Alabama state law? Police can't write the ticket if they don't see it. So what we're trying to do now is amend that law. That simply says, if some form of camera catches it, then we can use that as evidence to give a citation and or impound that car after the fact. Because all other forms of traffic violations, when you speed, when you run a light, when you fail to yield, when you fail to signal, if the officer doesn't see it, they can't give a ticket. So it turns out exhibition driving is the same thing. So the legislators in Montgomery, I can't do this locally, have to allow the city of Birmingham to use cameras, just like the city of Center Point, and I think there's another city in Jefferson County. Yeah, Midfield. There are only 2 cities out of 34 in the county that are allowed to use traffic cameras to give tickets in the mail. If we are allowed that, that totally changes the game for us, and we can give way more tickets for exhibition driving as well as impound those cars and suspend those licenses. The last thing we're trying to do is attack it on the civil side. We need insurance companies to immediately drop the person for the first time they get an exhibition driving ticket. Because these young boys who do this, if they know they can't have insurance, they're less likely to do it, right? So that's another angle we're working, but we haven't had success yet, but we're going to keep working that angle. So just to put a bow on it, we're attempting to do 2 more things. One, if the officer doesn't see it, through cameras, we can still issue a ticket and or impound the car. But we need the legislators in Montgomery to allow that. 2, work with the insurance companies to drop the person from their coverage if they get a ticket for exhibition driving, which is worse than reckless driving. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, Mayor. One quick note, because you were talking about Connect Birmingham, just to pass along this, if you fill out the form tonight, if you want to, someone can take it up at the front desk. If you don't fill it out tonight and you want to fill it out and drop it off later, if you go to West Precinct, you can drop it off at West Precinct. So just letting you know, they'll be looking for that. So if you fill out the Connect Birmingham, you can do it that way. This question is about, will the city please ask the waterworks to come back and correctly finish Cairo Avenue?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. They do an awful job. Tear our streets up. James, you want to come on up? Everybody, I want James Fowler, who leads the Department of Transportation, to come up and tell you his conversations he's been having with utility companies and how we're going to beat them up for you. Just playing.
Yes, sir. And my name is James Fowler. So I serve as the director of the city's Department of Transportation. And we do have a team of inspectors that coordinates with the utility companies. But our city is so large, and a lot of these pipes are so old that the volume at which those pipes fail underground, oftentimes it's hard to keep up with. But we do track those, and we coordinate with multiple utility companies, including the gas company, the water company, and the communication companies. So there are many. So if you do see an issue, and you may have already reported it to 311, we do collect those, and so we do coordinate with them. So sometimes, so I'm going to check on Cairo Avenue, but sometimes it does take a little while to get them back out to fix things, but we do keep a list, and so please contact 311 if you see an issue. We'll be glad to follow up on it. So.
And Mr. Fowler, that is in Roosevelt City, so I know the D7 office has reported that, but we would like to also be able to get some information from the waterworks on when they'll be back out. Thank you.
I'll take your mic, sir.
Next question is from West Brownsville. Overgrown weeds on right-of-way and ditches need cleaning so water can drain off on Casey and Gordon Avenue, and complain about overgrown alleyways in the area.
Give me that address again.
It's Casey Avenue and Gordon Avenue, and then the alleyway is Casey Avenue.
So this
West Brownsville.
This is going to compete for the shortest answer? We'll investigate it and take care of it.
Got the president right there, the neighborhood, so.
I did.
Mr.
We got the address, gentlemen. Public Works and Department of Transportation. We have the address?
We've got the 2 streets. We got the cross streets.
Boom. Yes, sir.
And you put your phone number on there too, so we've made a note. We're going to follow up as well. So with the phone call to you. Okay. Potholes, Germania Park. We have extremely large potholes on 29th and Garrison Avenue. It has been reported, but doesn't seem to have any action.
All right, Madam President. I'll make sure the potholes are taken care of. I think that answer beat you, sir.
Bear with me, you're answering them faster than I can read them. There's a lot of questions, and I could go through it, but it's a good long list, but there's a lot of questions after you read the list of road repaving, street repaving. When is the repaving going to be for specific areas, or why isn't repaving on a complete street as opposed to sections of?
All right. I'm going to protect Wardine on this one. I'm going to be straight with y'all. This is probably going to be the realest I'll be with you tonight. The streets I named earlier, who drives those streets? Show of hands, high hands. Should be everybody almost. All right. Now, this is a separate question. The street you live on, if I named your street that you live on, show of hands. So the hands decrease drastically. All right. I'll go with some very, very neutral news first. The streets that we named, Wardine, Alexander, and I did not pick those streets.
Well, I did ask for Park Avenue, as some of them, but
With the exception of Park Avenue. I want to explain what happened. Wardine and I came into office, and the previous administration and the council made political decisions on which streets should be paved. And they came up with a 5-year plan. And they had these streets in District 7 to be paved the first year, these streets to be paved in District 7 the second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. We inherited that list. It was unfunded. So we came in the first year, I believe, 18, and we said we'll do $8 million towards the first year of this list. And then each year we've gone up. It got to 10, and it got to 12 something, and this past year we did 14.5. Well, if my math correct, we've done the 5 years. But this is what you should know. Whether the list exists or doesn't exist, Wardine, Madam Pro Tem, and I inherited a $50 million backlog in street paving citywide. So as fast as we're paving streets in 1 year, that many more need paving. So the backlog never stopped. Now I'm going to give you some news now about how we're going about it and doing it differently. Turns out Wardine and I don't know anything about street paving. We don't know anything. We are elected officials, but in regards to street paving, we are lay people just like pretty much all of y'all, probably with the exception of Mr. James Fowler. So the city council last year, if I'm correct, approved a neutral objective process to assess and letter grade every single street in the city of Birmingham. So all of us in here went to elementary school. I want you to think about your report card. The streets are literally letter grade assessed. A for the best streets, B for the second best streets, and C for fair streets, and D for, well, you know what D's are. And you definitely know what F's are. Those are the worst streets. This is in process, Mr. Fowler, correct? Every street, the streets in Birmingham are currently being assessed and letter graded. When that process is complete, I'm not sure if Mr. Fowler's heard me say this before, but I think we should be overly transparent and share that with all the citizens in the city so you can see the best streets and the worst streets. But you should then know, instead of Madam Pro Tem and I politicizing and or it being driven by squeaky wheel or who makes the most noise on which street should be paved, that process will guide us and we will pave the worst streets first citywide per district. Does that make sense, everybody? We're going to pave F and D's first in District 7. Now, I know District 7. Wardine knows District 7 because we both walked a lot of streets in District 7 and knocked on doors and sat on porches. So we know it, you live it. I know you got some streets that have not been paved in 20, 30, in some cases 40 years. Do I have that correct? Yep. 40 years. See me when it's over. The point is, everybody, I know this is important to you. But that's why we've invested literally close to $60 million in this. We made street paving a priority, and we'll continue to make street paving a priority. But we need to do it in a different way so we can get to the worst streets first. Would y'all agree or disagree with that process? Is that better than politicizing and or squeaky wheel which street should be paved?
Definitely. Definitely.
That's our new process. And in the best case scenario, whether we are in these seats or not, that document exists and is public information for everybody to see. So you can bust us upside our head while we're not paving the D's and F's first. If that's okay with y'all. My head is small, don't hurt me. Rick?
Yes, sir. This one from Oakwood Place. When is new housing when is the new housing development coming to the West End community?
When is new housing coming to the West End community? Well, that's a good question. Housing comes in the form of market rate driven, and then it comes in the form of affordable housing. And that's my left hand. In my right hand, it comes in the form of single family homes and multifamily homes and duplexes and triplexes and all other forms of housing. And then you have existing home ownership in West End. In some cases, residents who are homeowners, third generation. And it's possible you may be living next door to a renter or a Section 8, right? So I want to tell you what we try to do for existing homeowners first. We acknowledge in West End, we have an aging elder population that is mixed in with multifamily as well as young families. But for those who actually own their homes, may not necessarily have the necessary resources. If I'm honest, some may not even have insurance. Some may be struggling. Some may still be on some form of assistance with income. So they can't afford to upkeep for their roof or their porch or exterior paint. So we have a program where through the federal government, HUD, it's called a critical repair program. This program is so needed. This program is so wanted that in the Fountain Heights Recreation Center, I want to say the beginning of last year, for 200 slots, well over 500 people showed up. And more than 800 people actually applied. That's citywide. So we know for existing homeowners, supporting seniors, supporting elders, supporting those on fixed incomes, supporting those with no income, we need to figure out a way to continue to be creative with those federal dollars. And so we've since raised the amount from $15,000 to $30,000 per home, which allows more impact for that individual issue at your home. But we've also got a partner with one of the corporations in Birmingham, and the program is called Protecting Good. And this is being driven by private dollars to partner with and assist those who need that same help. We look to expand that from the north side of town to other sides of town, which include West End. Well, you say, well, you still didn't answer my question. What about new housing? So then we talk about infill housing. Infill housing would be defined as, I told you earlier, I never want to make up anything, I want to get it right. Here it is. I told you earlier, 591 vacant properties we've cut. That means almost 600 empty lots exist in District 7. Now, how many of that is West End? I don't have the answer to that. Let's make up a number. 1/4 or 1/5, right? So a considerable amount of empty lots exist in West End. And the question is, so when is new housing going to come? Well, if it's market rate driven, that's hard for the city to control because the market is going to take care of itself. And if private developers want to come in, they're going to come in. And if they don't want to come in, we can't force them and make them come in. However, we can create opportunities to drive growth. So one of the things we do is try to clean it up. The other thing we try to do is look to see who is supporting and investing in affordable housing if the private market won't drive it. But it turns out even in affordable housing, no one wants to build a one-off. So whether it's a developer that does affordable housing here or market housing here, the pastor can tell you nobody wants to just build one house. If each row represents a block, and then this here represents streets, people want to build in bulk. So one of the ways to do that, I didn't pick on you, Dr. VT, but Caroline Douglas, I think you should come up and finish my answer related to our land bank. Because we believe this is an opportunity for new housing in certain communities that include West End. Young lady, you need some water? You need some water? Take my water. Can't we look? You can't be choking in the Lord's house. So Ms. Douglas, everybody who leads our land bank, is going to come up and share some information.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I'm Caroline Douglas, and I'm pleased to serve as the Executive Director for the Birmingham Land Bank. We are celebrating 10 years this year, so I'm glad you tossed it to me, Mayor Woodfin, because I was thinking about it as he was talking. We have opportunities to acquire properties that were tax delinquent. Now, how many of you own the home that you live in, and there's a vacant lot next door to you? Okay, that's good. How many of you are part of a nonprofit or you attend a church in your district and there's vacant lots on that street or in that neighborhood? Excellent. We have 3 opportunities for you. One opportunity is called our lot lease program. You might wonder, why am I going to lease a lot? I'm going to tell you. Any nonprofit and any individual who owns and lives in their home as their primary residence can lease the lot next door to them for a one-time fee of $50. That's a 2-year lease. What that does is give you rightful access and possession of that property. Some of you might say, well, I've been cutting the lot next door to me for more than 2 years. I understand that. So the good news is you've given your neighborhood a benefit. The bad news is you've been trespassing. I'm just going to tell you. So a way to avoid trespassing is then to come to the Birmingham Land Bank, bring the property of that address or look it up on our website. And if it's eligible, that means it's at least 3 years tax delinquent, 3 years behind in taxes. Then there's an opportunity for you to lease that lot. You'll have that lot for 2 years and you will have the first right to purchase it. Because at the end of that, you might say, you know what, it was a lot of work. I don't really want it. That's fine. We'll shake your hand. We'll thank you. Or you'll say, I actually want to buy it. That's great. You'll be first in line to purchase that. Or you can say, I don't have the funding to buy it. I just want whatever interest you have. That's fine too, because you're still going to be a tax assessed owner. That property will have someone responsible, but you will need to clear off that title. What I mean by that is you want to be the rightful owner. You do not want to leave that open because at any time the prior owner can come and redeem that from you. So that is for an individual who lives and owns their home and it's your primary residence. So any landlords who are renting their house out and there's a vacant lot next to you, this program is not for you. But churches, such as this one, churches that have vacant lots that have on their block or in their neighborhood, that's a prime opportunity. Because let me tell you, I'm not from Alabama, but I think I've been here 15 years now. 15 years I've lived in Birmingham. The church I went to back in California, we all went to church. and then went home. So that means most of us did not live in the neighborhood. They only saw us when it was time for outreach, only saw us when we were doing specific things in the community. But here in Birmingham, you have an opportunity to not just be a good neighbor, but to let the residents in your neighborhood know the church is not only here for you to worship, but we're also here to help you enjoy your community. So for churches and nonprofits, lease these lots, cut them, maintain them, and after 2 years, purchase them. It's a win-win. Because then you can decide we have a greater vision. We just don't want to maintain the lot. We want to build. We want to create housing. That's an opportunity for you. Now, if you just want to buy, that's great too. We have 2 other programs where you can purchase homes or lots. In District 7, there's almost 700 opportunities for you to do that. 681 to be exact. Vacant lots or lots with homes. It's something for you to think about. So these are properties that were once tax delinquent, meaning there was an owner who did not pay taxes. Year 1, year 2, year 3. Those properties are eligible for our program. I don't think you should sit on that. I don't know how to say that. I really want to just say every church in District 7 should be applying for properties from the land bank. Every single one. Every homeowner who lives in their home, and that's your primary residence, you need to lease the lot next door to you. Or if you are ready to renovate, you're excited, you're inspired, you love HGTV just like I do, then let us see what you have. So what we're doing though, is we're changing our intake process. I've heard a lot of comments about what information we could give you, what information we should give you to be more successful. The benefit I've had is being involved with the land bank at the very beginning, at its inception, creating that process that clears that title, during its development, watching it grow, and now at the helm during its evolving. It's evolving. So we're pivoting a bit, we're doing some housing, but right now I want someone in here tonight to go to birminghamlandbank.org. Pastor, I feel like you should be the first one. You should be the first one. Yes, sir. birminghamlandbank.org. Use the filter. Search for your neighborhood. You can do that. Or search for your district. You can do that. And find a lot or a property. Now, if you're going to renovate, I'm just going to tell you, I'm looking for your funding. I'm looking for your plan. If you don't have funding and you don't have a plan, you won't get a what? A property. It's only fair. It's only fair. So, with that, I hope that's good information.
And Ms. Douglas, if I can just say, tell everyone a success story. What she's saying has happened in District 7. We had St. Luke Baptist Church in Cairo. I think, Mr. Yates, you may remember there was the big white house right there as you come across the railroad tracks. One of the first houses we tore down when I became in office, and it left just a huge vacant lot. And we went over and talked with the minister and the members there, and they are currently leasing the lot, and now they're cutting it. So we don't fuss with you anymore about getting that lot cut. So it works, y'all. It really works.
It works. It works. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So Mayor, it's time check for you. It's about 7:25 right now. Just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. We started at 6, everybody. Usually the way these roll, we do about an hour and a half. So I commit the next 5 minutes. I'll try to get you out of here at 7:30. Rapid response to my answers. Speed up my answers.
Okay. How can the city, this is from Riley, how can the city assist in helping nonprofits better their neighborhoods and cleanup programs?
Well, one, let me just say this. Thank you, nonprofits, for what you do in community. Volunteering, your time, cleanup efforts, your members, your team members. It helps. We have various programs and various departments that offer a competitive financial programs. And so whether it's Bowl or other programs, what website would you recommend I tell people to go to?
ieo.birminghamal.gov.
All right, I'm going to try to remember that. ieo. dot birminghamal.gov. You drop down on that website, small businesses, entrepreneurs, as well as nonprofits. A host of things we offer via tax dollars, but nothing we just give. It's always a process, and it is competitive. It doesn't mean we discount you. It just means you need to have a tight plan. Next question. So I told you I would speed up my answers.
Yes, sir. Illegal dumping, it looks like a landfill on 17th Street Southwest on the block. How can this be better monitored?
Yeah, so here's what we're doing around illegal dumping. It's tough. We pick it up, they go back. A few days later, a week later, it's back on the ground. Agree or disagree?
Yep.
All right. In some instances, we've cut off streets. So if the street doesn't have a lot of vehicular traffic, we've noticed if we shut that street down, that decreases. But you can't do that for every street. So I'll give you this. In a neighborhood, in a different district, we have a pilot program where in this hand, we are literally putting down steel trash bins, pressed in the actual concrete of the sidewalk, make sure nobody steals them. But we want to see if that actually changes behavior as it relates to decreasing litter. In my right hand, in that same neighborhood, we've dispatched a few roll-offs to see if people will actually use the roll-offs instead of just dumping in certain streets. This program has not been in existence 30 days. We're looking at assessing it every 30, 60, and 90 days, one season, to see if it actually beautified and kept that neighborhood cleaner. If that works, we look to expand that in other areas of town. For the street that was just named, I'm very honest, I can't guarantee you it will be that street. But we will get that street and see through other processes such as cameras. Where's Alice? Is Alice Williams here? Oh, boom. Don't hide. Alice, what's the name? What's that type of camera we use?
We're currently using Project NOLA cameras.
So Project NOLA cameras, you don't need electricity, correct?
Correct.
You just need to be able to mount the camera. So that's part of our Don't Be a Dummy campaign. But by using that in an ideal world, we can catch the perpetrator. Next.
Okay. Fuel trucks keep roaming through the area and messing up the roads. Why can't we reroute the fuel trucks in the district? And what can the fuel trucks pay for the damage they make on the road?
So y'all talking about East Scooter?
Yep. I bet.
Why don't we all just walk down there
Yep.
and stand in front of, don't let any of the trucks pass by? Who protesting with me? I'm being silly, but I know this has been an issue for how many decades now? Forever? I think the biggest thing we can do, maybe we should talk to the ownership, Wardine, maybe we should look at our ordinances as well, is what should they do as it relates to paying the city back or putting in the money to consistently repay because we know they're damaging the street. The truth is, this has existed like before I was born. So I know it's existed over 40 years. Agree or disagree? Maybe we should try to get creative. I don't have an honest answer for you right here, but to say we need to get creative in how to hold them accountable as far as co-going in with us to be at a more consistent pace of co-paving or repatching when they damage the street. The problem is we can't catch them when it actually happens, so it's hard to hold somebody liable. But I think this is something we can try to get creative in. Probably need to identify ownership too and just talk to them.
I agree with that.
All right, 2 more questions.
Okay, fast question. Will recycling ever return to weekly?
Yes. Oh,
Here you go.
chill out.
Return when?
Well, he was supposed to say,
weekly.
will recycling ever return? The answer is yes. And then the last part of the question was weekly.
Weekly.
Yeah, it got me good. I don't know. Here's what we're trying to do. In the ideal perfect world, the uniform trash once a week, uniform carts works. And then what we need to move to, so if I can't give you once a week, let me tell you what I want to give you. Only about 21 to 22% of residents in Birmingham recycle. So that's less than 1 in 4. It's hard to change behavior, so on one hand, we need to educate the next generation on the importance of recycling. However, for the existing 21 to 22%, What we need to do instead of just going to every house is do an opt-in. So increase our technology that allows us to know that you on your block are the only one that wants to recycle. Well, there's no need to go to every house and burn gas on your block or your street. Just come directly to you. So what we need to move to, even if I can't give you 1 week, is a more efficient process of opt-in for those who want to recycle. And then that, I think, provides a better service for you, even if it's not weekly. It's guaranteed that you know we'll pick it up because you opt in. Who like, at a minimum, if I can't give you 1 week, who likes that? All right, thank you. One more, Rick.
Yes, sir. This one is a school-related question, but what's being done to address high absenteeism? And they use the example of Jones Valley Middle.
I know that's not going to be a short answer. I'm just playing. But it's not a short answer, for real. Pastor, you used to be an educator. I tell you what makes children want to go to school: when they feel safe in the school. I want to say, I believe this, bottom of my heart, and I know this to be true, what I'm about to say out loud. Majority of educators genuinely care about our children. So then you say, what's the issue at home? And that's a very compounded issue. There is no one direct answer. Coronavirus did us no favors. It did us no favors. Children went home, some 2 semesters, some 3 semesters. And then they created these E-days, and they created these other stuff where they're just out. And I think there may be a generation of parents who see sending their children to school is optional. It's not optional. So some of this is culturally driven, and it's hard to penetrate how to make that better. So Wardine and I and her colleagues, we got creative. We partnered with the school system. We partnered with the housing authority. And we took a select group of families in our community that stay in public housing, because when you dive deep into the data, it revealed that families and children who stay in public housing had higher chronic absentees than children that stayed in other forms of housing. So we decided to incentivize. And people looked at us crazy. And I look back at them crazy and says, I'll get rid of this idea if you give me a better one. And then they didn't give me a better one. So we stuck with our idea. And we're basically rewarding going to school. Y'all remember perfect attendance? I don't remember what y'all got, but I didn't get money. You got a certificate. Well, what we're trying to do now is say, let's assist households in whatever issues may exist, and you get to participate in the lottery to offset household issues if your child has perfect attendance or if your children have perfect attendance. And the first family to receive that in the month of January got like $450. I know people may disagree with that, and I'm okay with you disagreeing with that, because earlier I told you this podium was a toolbox, and there were multiple tools in there related to public safety. Well, related to chronic absenteeism, here's a toolbox. That's just one tool. If you got an idea, please share it with us, because we don't have all the answers. But I swear to you, we are committed to doing everything we can to educate our children, along with Big Walt, wherever he is. We were both former school board members, so we genuinely care about educating our children. We love our children, and we want to see what's best for them.
Yes.
So I have to close this out because we can be here all night. I want to give you.
Can I thank my staff? I forgot to thank them.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they're all outside, but Isola Hall, Chief of Staff, Lozy Brown, that melodious voice you hear when you call 254-2498, that's Mr. Lozy Brown, and Caleb Neverson. So thank you all very much.
Yeah. So I want to do a couple things. I want to end how we started, which is a thank you. I'm going to save this young man for last. I want to thank every single person for attending tonight. You're busy, you have a life, you have your work, you have your own family, you're tired, You took time out of your schedules to be with us tonight. Thank you. To all the neighborhood leaders in this room, we see you, we acknowledge you, we appreciate you. We know you work hard, we know you work for free. We love you. I'm not playing when I say that, genuinely, thank you. To the city employees that are here, you've had a long day. Thank you for spending a little bit more time with us. Wardine Alexander, it is an honor to co-lead and co-work with you for the
Thank you.
residents of District 7.
Same
Y'all
here.
give it up for Madam Pro Tem.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
I saved Reverend Wesley for last. So usually our town halls are not in churches. And so I want to give, and I try to be very respectful of not mixing government and faith. However, we are in a place of faith, and we are in an amazing church. It's an amazing congregation and member of the community. By the way, your church looks really nice, sir. I mean, I've been in here before, but I usually sit down. I don't usually stand up here and get to see the whole thing. This is nice. It's a nice dig, sir. But we are in your house. I want to give you, one, an opportunity to say something. Two, the program is technically over after he says something. But personally, I've had a long week. Many of you all had a long week. Our community has had some really hard times over the last 6 days. And of those 6 homicides, the first funeral is tomorrow. That's heavy on me, it's heavy on you, it's heavy on a lot of families. This community could use your prayer. Again, once he gets done speaking before he prays, the meeting is over. If you want to leave and not participate in that, that's fine. But I'm going to stick around. The mic is yours, sir. Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's thank the Mayor and Council Pro Tem and all the staff for sharing so graciously, coming, bringing the services, bringing the city to the community. We're certainly appreciative of it. I would ask one other consideration, that something might be addressed concerning the trains that get stuck out there on the track sometimes. It blocks the thoroughfare of traffic that flows in and out. So that's an ongoing thing. All right. We do thank you for your kindness. We want to thank our various staff members. We are a church that is involved in the community. We believe in community revitalization, and the plan is twofold. First is workforce development, and we have 2 programs as it relates to that: a youth build program for young people between the ages of 16 through 24 who dropped out of school. One or more parent may have been incarcerated, come from low-income families. We are educating them and providing a vocation for them, including construction, phlebotomy, and now CDL licensing. Secondly, we're engaged in revitalization through housing. We're working with the city as one of the administrators to do portions of the city critical repair program. We're committed to repairing 80 homes in this community over the next 2 years. The first 11 are just about completed. All of them have been bidded out, and the work is underway on the first 11 homes of critical repair. Words of praise for the job that they do. And so permit me to pray for you at this time. Eternal God, our Father, we are thankful and grateful for the gift of life and for the preciousness of it. We thank you for giving us healthy bodies and willing spirits that we may face the opportunities that we're given each day. We lift before your throne tonight the city of Birmingham, the mayor, the city council, and all of the staff that governs this city. We thank you for our police chief and all of the officers. We thank you for firefighters and first responders, and for those who put themselves in harm's way, that we may have a safe city to live in. We pray tonight especially for those families that are torn apart, whose hearts are heavy because loved ones have been removed, ripped out of their lives. We pray for the comfort of the Holy Spirit. We pray, God, for wisdom, sense of wisdom and knowledge and understanding, that we all may be able to use information that you give to understand the times and to know what to do. We pray that you would bless the leadership, not only in this city, but the state, the nation, even this world. Without you, we can do nothing, but with you, we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. We pray continually for grace and mercy every day. We pray for protection. As these men and women go forward to do their jobs, when they're done, they want to return home. And they want to rest and enjoy their families as well. We pray that for them. We pray that you would bless with the understanding, the truths, and that you would raise up the resources for the communities. Thank you for community leaders, men and women who care about their local neighborhoods, who want resources, actions to be taken that would bring about quality of life. Pray for the religious leaders, churches, and others, that there will be a spirit of unity, a new spirit of unity that's released in this community, in this city. The residents will speak up, will tell what they know, utilize the technology that they have. And we may come together, that we may be able to solve and resolve some of the issues that are before us. Help us not to have such critical spirits, but to be more loving and supportive and understanding and willing to step forward and do our parts. Now, as we prepare to go up from here, we pray that you would give us safe passage back to our various residences. May we find rest and peace for the remainder of this evening, and then give us the willingness to rise into the new day and see what yet may happen. Dismiss us now from here, but never from your eternal presence. We ask it all now in the name of your Son, Jesus. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. God bless you. Thank you so much.